Today we have the pleasure of having the Airbus freighter marketing team with us. Crawford Hamilton and Oliver von Tronchin are with us. And thank you for joining us, gentlemen. And good afternoon over in Europe. It's still morning here, and I'm still drinking my coffee, but we'll get started. We've noticed over the years that Boeing has about an 80% entrenched market share of all the freighters out there, and Airbus is now coming on with its latest technology, the A350 freighter. Clearly, you're trying to gain market share in the market. What's your view of the freighter market, and where is Airbus planning to fit within that market?
I think. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here. It's good to see you again. I think in answer to your question, when we start to look at where we are in the market, we have built up over the last few years a freighter strategy including both passenger to freighter conversions with our partner ST Aerospace in EFW, who are now got something over 100 and getting towards 120 aircraft in operation. In addition to that, when you can build on that base, you can then start to look at line-built freighters. And what's fantastic with what we've got at the moment is, for the first time, we've had a really good platform to build a large freighter upon. So we've now been able to take that opportunity. Looking at the market for a long time, I remember back in 2006, seeing our A350 family with a freighter in there. There's been evolution since then, but what it's meant is that we've looked at the market carefully. You ask if it's a growing segment. Yeah, we see from the GMF that we're looking at about a 3% growth in trade. With that, aviation very much plays its part. Therefore, we're looking at a growing market. And I think when we start to see what we've done with this, we've put a freighter in there that we see as being very much a reference aircraft. But we know we're very conscious of where we are in that market at the moment. So where do our ambitions lie? I think we very much want our fair share of the market. It's something we want to do. It's also, with the ambition, it's also been one that's come from our customers asking us, saying to us, we need choice. We can sometimes, excuse me, ask for things and we're not getting responses and such like. Therefore, we want someone new in the market. And then we've answered that call. So with us knowing things like ICAO 2027 and the CO2, with us knowing things like the fact that there's aging freighters out there, there's something like 130 freighters over 30 years old, large freighters, customers asking us to do something and having the perfect platform. To be honest, it's never been better, and we're doing it in a growing market. Gosh, it's the stars are aligning.
Yeah, so everything is lining up well for you. What's the current status of the A350 freighter program? I know you had some announcements at Paris. How do you stack up against the competition after the air show?
Yeah, we continue the sales success of the 350 freighter at the air show by announcing Avilis for up to 22 freighters, 12 firm. And then we announced an MOU with MNG for 2. That is 2 more customers in addition to the 11 customers we already had, which is really a proof of the market success of the 350 freighter, especially compared to our competition, Boeing. We have double the customers, and for us this is important because we are breaking into the large freighter market. It's the first time we are really bringing a product into this market, so market acceptance and feedback on the product being good is important, and the number of customers is really proof of that. Actually, I like to cycle back to your first question, because we're not only breaking into the large freighter market. If you think about our P2F products, we are also breaking into the small freighter market with the A320 P2F and A321 P2F. People tend to forget that was another monopoly market dominated, as you initially said in your question, by Boeing. And here we are now present in all three subsegments: small, medium, and large, whereas the medium segment has always been the traditional mainstay of Airbus freighters with A300 or 600, A310s, and A330s.
And I think to go back I'll look back into 350. When we start to look at that and we look at the profile of our customers, we've got young airlines like CMA and Starlux. We've got combination carriers, amongst them Air France, Etihad, and such like. We've got all cargo carriers like CMA and Silkway. So getting that diversity of airlines in there is very important too, because we need to make sure that we have a wide base and a deep base as well. So we've got to sell lots of planes. We've got to have lots of diverse customers and not be too dependent on maybe just one single customer there. That's what's been really important, is they've all taken, good numbers of airplanes that suit their business. And then, of course, we've got a bunch of commitments on top of that as well. So we start to look at that. It's looking relatively healthy.
And the two largest markets in the world haven't even ordered yet, which is China and North America, basically.
Yeah, interesting. How do you differentiate the A350 from your competitor at Boeing? What are some of the advantages, and why should I buy that instead of the competition?
Well, one, it's giving you a choice, and if you just go straight in there and not take the choice, you're not going to benefit from that choice. I think the second thing is we can offer maturity from day one. We have a very successful platform. We've got we've got 1,400 orders on it. We've got a backlog of getting on for 800 aircraft there, and we've got something like 12 million flight hours on that aircraft. On the 350. And one of the things that our freighter has is a high level of commonality where it counts with the in-service fleet of the A350. So reliability is going to be there out the box. And I think we see that in the fact that we have something like over 2 million engine flight hours as well on our Trent XWB engine, which is the most efficient engine in the world that's actually in service at the moment. So the platform's there. We then start to look at what we've got in terms of the more freight orientated things. And of course, the one that is the big standout is the big door. Having a door that has 170 inches width relative to 146 inches width, which has been typical up to now, or even less when you look at a 747 on the side door, is vital. And of course, that door that we have is even bigger than the nose door on a 747. It's 96 by about 150, whereas we're at 124 by 170. So we have the biggest door. Point. I think also when we come to look at it, we look at the floor in terms of what we've got in terms of running loads and such like. We have way more heavy high weight positions there than anyone else. It allows us also to do things, particularly take multiple engines. Generally, you can't get any more than 2 engines in any current aircraft flying. We can do up to 6. So there's things like that we offer unique advantages over the opposition. And that's a big market. And then when we start to look at other innovations, we've been very much driven by our customers. We've had something like 80 suggestions from our customers. We adopted over 70 of them. So we start to look at things like fresh air on the courier area, crew rest, and flight deck. When you transport animals, animals are sometimes not too particular where they do their business. And if you've got recirculated air, that comes back through the system. And that's what happens in all current freighters. That can lead to diversions. It can lead to, situations where where crews are having to divert. So therefore, if we can eliminate by having fresh air there and having a proper 21st century workplace, I mean, it is a 21st century, we're in the 21st century, well into it now. We need a 21st century workplace. I think also we've innovated on the cargo loading system. We have a very high capability cargo loading system that is a change from what's in the market at the moment. And, you know, lastly, we've got an aircraft, because it's in carbon, is in terms of structural efficiency, way more a step change from what you've got today. And I think with that, we've looked at that very carefully, because that's what you have to offer the market, for the market to go, oh, you've got to offer a step change for them to realize there's a step change in efficiency. So with that, we've got an aircraft that is efficient, but it's also flexible, because we know that the freight market, whilst, as I said, it's in an upward curve, it tends to go all over the place on the way in that curve. And that's what you have to be able to do. I think one of the heads of one of the industry said, we get about 3 good years and 18 months when it's not so good. We have to make sure that people can maximize the return through all those periods. And that's why we bring in the efficiency of the inbuilt efficiency of the 350. Did I miss anything, Oliver?
I'd like to add a data point on the weight. If you look at max takeoff weight, because large freighters often fly out at max takeoff weight over long ranges and with full payloads. The max takeoff weight of the 350 freighter is 319 tons, whereas the competition, the 777-8F, is at 365 tons. So that is 46 tons or 100,000 pounds difference in terms of weight. Okay, 100,000 pounds is an awful lot of weight that 350F has to bring less into the air, and with that, the economic efficiency, the lower fuel burn, is really something innovative and new that we bring to the market.
Question. Go ahead, Addison.
Okay, quick one, gentlemen. The freighter market has typically been biased, shall we say, towards convertible freighters, and the 777-300ERF is now coming on stream in the same segment, the big airplane market. What do you see the impact of that conversion market doing to your overall addressable market?
Well, so if you look at our forecast and how we look at the market, there has always been a market for large converted freighters. Okay, typically we see it around 20%. Okay, I think we in our latest version we have 650 large freighters.
Yeah.
And 20% is kind of 150 converted freighters. You're right. You know, they have always been there. Certain airlines are better off with the converted freighter if you don't get the high utilization which you need with a high capital cost new production freighter that you really need to work. Yeah, so there will be a market for the 777-300ER conversion. But if you look at what the current fleet is, especially for the large freighter market, it's dominated by production freighters. Okay, so it's a smaller part of converted freighters in that segment than in the small and mid-sized freighter segment. Also, clearly, like in all the other segments, there is a clear product differentiation between a converted freighter and a production freighter, with the production freighter being more optimized and much more capable. And especially in the large freighter market, that is seems to be a strong appeal to operators.
I think it's an interesting one. I mean, there's always been a complementarity of converted freighters and line-built freighters. This is the first time, though, that the converted freighters will be a generation behind the line-built freighters. So it's going to be quite interesting to see what happens in that market, and whether or not and how big that market will be. As we said, we're predicting somewhere between 120 and 150 conversions, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens there when they finally actually get it certificated.
Should be good. If we look at the advantages you guys just talked about, it seems there are two places that you're aiming at. One is the efficiency of the airplane itself, And the second is the efficiency of your operator with the design, with the large cargo door, with the additional heavyweight capabilities, and the efficiency and throughput that you can add to the operator. Which of those is the most important seller? Is it sort of equal as you go through and talk with customers? What's their hot button today, and is that changing?
I think undoubtedly we see that permeating the market now. Sustainability is a huge issue.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's the sustainability of both sustaining their business, which obviously gets into the operation and such like, and also in terms of emissions and noise. We're seeing in terms of that certain expectations. We obviously in Europe it's very focused, but there are other places around the world where this is coming in and is a very big factor, and has been a big factor in some of the aircraft and some of the customers that we've gained. Also, you then start to look at operation, and what we've aimed for in this aircraft is to simplify operation, to take a lot of the uncertainty out of the operation. Our aircraft is balanced, so unless you do a delivery, you won't be able to tail tip it. It's always embarrassing to see these pictures on Google. On the 350, we've designed it so the CG is in the right place for both loading, simultaneous loading of all decks, but also for flying, so we can get the maximum economy. So when you start to look at it, they come with each other, and we can really hit the buttons that our customers are looking at the moment, but also what they're looking at for the future. And that's the big important thing here. This program isn't here to be here today, gone tomorrow. We're going to be seeing these aircraft operating in 40 years' time, 50 years' time, perhaps 60 years' time. We're looking at a freighter, we're sea freighters that are 40 years old. We could well be looking at somewhere in the 2080s. For operation of this aircraft. So we want to make sure that we answer today's problems, also work with our customers to ensure that we can also answer what we can see for tomorrow's problems and tomorrow's issues, and to ease the operation and to ensure sustainability in all ways for the aircraft and indeed its operator.
Yeah. Speaking of tomorrow's operations, ICAO 2027 is coming. Can you give us your thoughts on that and explain to those who may not know what it is, how that impacts the air freighter market?
Well, ICAO, as I said, from ICAO 2027 is there is a carbon metric that has been worked out internationally through the ICAO process. So it's gone through a whole process there where various stakeholders, but ultimately decided by national governments, as ICAO is part of the United Nations. And what it's done is it will lead to the phase out of all production of all aircraft that do not match its goals. So that means that both 777F and the 767 freighter line-built freighters will have to phase out by the end of 2027. What it means is that, as you've seen, Boeing have launched a 777-8F, and what it did for us was give us the opportunity, because we could then work from our clean sheet of paper with the A350 to go forward with that. But with that, it means there is going to be a step change. The other thing is, though, but if it is a converted aircraft, it does not need to exit the market at the moment. So that's something where it's going to be an interesting change to see what happens. But what it does is it gives us, from our point of view, it's very much an opportunity.
Very, very good. Obviously, the sustainability is important for the market, but the P2F tends to get older feedstock from older aircraft. Is that limiting the P2F market in the future through sustainability requirements, or do you still see an aggressive market for P2Fs down the road?
I think, well, I mean, I'll take the start and let Oliver finish. I think we still see the market there just by the necessities of some P2F operation, where you're starting to see things like very low operating hours. It's very hard to amortize a high price of a line built freighter into that. But I think the other thing we're seeing, of course, is today's new build, as if newly converted aircraft are replacing yesterday's previously converted aircraft. So again, we're seeing a generation change there. Oliver? Excuse me.
Yes, so in general, sustainability is becoming a more important subject in the freight market for all players. Us working directly with the freight airlines and leasing companies. But what we hear is that the airlines say, hey, we have our shippers asking us what we do in terms of sustainability. Okay, and here obviously the aircraft, the freighter aircraft is a big factor. So a lot of the freight operators, freight airlines, are driven by their customers towards getting more and more into embracing more and more sustainability as a subject.
With the current difficulties in delivering airplanes from the supply chain in the post-pandemic environment, we've seen things get pushed back in terms of orders. Is that causing problems for getting younger feedstock as airlines are keeping the existing passenger aircraft in the market longer because they can't get the new aircraft on time?
I think at the moment there's vast opportunity for passenger aircraft in the passenger market because people are wanting to fly. And we've seen big rises in traffic of people flying post-COVID, getting that freedom to fly again, to go and visit places. So what we've seen is the fact that a lot of airlines are keeping aircraft anyway because there's a market for them. If there's no market for them, then they'll start to get rid of them. So we're seeing a growing market, a healthy market that, yes, is leading to a shortage of feedstock, but it's something that we're still seeing conversions being undertaken. Our partners at EFW are still going to have a healthy year. So we're seeing the fact that, yeah, there are some limitations on feedstock, but it can still be got, and people are still converting aircraft.
Sounds good. We're running up against our time deadline here, so thank you so much, Crawford and Oliver, for being with us today.
Pleasure. Thank you very much. A pleasure as always to see you, gentlemen.
Okay.
All right.